What is up, Wolfpack? Today we're going to be talking about hand tools and why it's one of the most important things you're going to need to stock up on to live a self-sufficient lifestyle. Stick around to the end of the video because we're going to talk you through how not only will you be able to win a brand new SE4, but over $500 worth of survival goodies. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment and you'll be instantly entered to win one of these. Stick around to the end of the video to find out all the details. So, one of the first things that you want to stock up on and really think about is your hand tools. If you're like me, you probably have one of those large, really long 3-foot toolboxes sitting in your garage, and you had it filled up with all of your hand tools, and every time you had a project around the house, you'd go and lug that thing over, and eventually got to the point where you're like, I don't want to lug this thing anymore, and you'll just grab your drill and your hammer and a couple of screws, and then you're over there and you're like, oh, I forgot my tape measure. You'd run back to the toolbox, grab the tape measure. And you're like, oh, I forgot my level. You run back, grab the level, and then you forget to put the things back, and then your stuff is all over the place. And I ended up realizing that what's way better than having that giant toolbox is having something super small like this bucket toolbox. It's super tiny. It's handheld. It only fits the essentials and nothing more. You can either use something like this, like from Husky, that's just purpose-built and designed to do that, or you can get one of those 5-gallon bucket organizers. I like this one because I found the 5-gallon bucket organizers, the 5-gallon bucket was way too deep and I'd lose things, whereas this one has a decent amount of depth and I'm able to take care and advantage of all of the outside pockets. I think this thing was like $15 at Home Depot. So we'll walk you through some of the hand tools to give you a little bit of inspiration. Walking through from the left going to the right, this is one of my favorite things. These are tin snips. These are straight edge tin snips, and the amount of times that I've used this, whether it was cutting chicken wire, whether it was snipping off a zip tie, whether it was ripping through clamshell packaging. I mean, I end up using this thing a lot more than I expected. Highly recommend everyone, if you're gonna just get one pair of tin snips, I'd get ones with a straight cut. They also have ones with curved cut that you can cut sheet metal with. This thing's absolutely phenomenal. Use it all the time. Highly recommend a pair of tin snips. I do have a pair of adjustable ratcheting screwdrivers in my main toolbox, but honestly, I found that this is all I've really needed. 2 Phillips and 1 flathead. I found that this has been more than enough. I haven't really needed, I do have one more larger flathead, but for the most part, I'm using one of the drill drivers, either my drill or my power drill driver for most of my drilling. A pair of needle nose pliers. I mean, the amount of times you can use this is, I mean, you can use this from everything from actually cutting wire to stripping wire to actual needle, you know, using the needle nose to tool around on things. A level, you don't need a large one, just a small one. You know, whether you're hanging a flat screen TV or you're hanging a painting, you know, just being able to pop that on there, or making sure that, you know, a woodworking project that you're working on is level. A small level like this is really all you need. I've got a much larger one for larger projects, but honestly, something like this, it fits right into one of the pockets, no problem. This stud finder, probably I would not recommend. I mean, this one was super cheap. Honestly, it's very unreliable. I just threw it in there because I had a spare pocket, but I definitely need to find a new one. If anyone has a recommendations on a solid stud finder, one that's actually reliable, let me know. Leave it in the comments because I've been looking for a good one. On that note, a Fat Max, a tape measure, super important. I mean, this is one of the most used items. This is a 25-foot. I like the Fat Max because the amount of times that I've been using to you know, to really string it out there, maybe 20, you know, not 20, but about 10 feet is super critical. And for those that don't know, I mean, this is just a quick tip. There's actually a little, you can see here that most of these are spring loaded. And the reason being is they'll actually build in a little bit of slack. So if you're hooking this and measuring it, it'll be accurate. But also if you're pushing it, it'll also be accurate. And so nice little tip there. Box cutters. The amount of times I use box cutter. I like ones that, you know, you can have the replaceable blade. This one has both the standard blade. It has a multiple locking options, but it also has a little bit of exposed for rope cutting. I mean, the amount of times, if you're like me, you're buying from Amazon a lot, and you know, every 2 weeks it's a chore, but you're breaking down boxes. And so, you know, box cutter, you can never have too many of these This thing also stores a couple blades in there as well. A right angle square, super critical for any woodworking that you're doing or just wanting to make sure that something's level. I've got a larger metal one in my larger toolbox, but this small little plastic one is super easy. I mean, the amount of skills you can learn from this. There's a couple awesome videos that talk to you about how to get a proper angle if you're doing some framing or roofing. But you know, even just for like a chicken coop, you can end up using something like this. You know, I have my my hammer here, and while it does have, you know, the nail puller, sometimes you've got a nail really stuck in there, and so I'll actually also have you know, a little cat's paw, and sometimes I'll just, you know, be able to bang this in there. You know, if I'm breaking down a pallet and one of the nails is really embedded in there, you'll be able to really dig this in there and really dig out that nail. And so nothing wrong with having a little a cat's paw to supplement your hammer. And obviously, you know, there's an old hammer. This is my backup. Nothing wrong with that. You can see it's been chewed up, chewed all to hell. But you know, it's worked really well. And so I have this one as my backup hammer, and I'll leave that on there. In addition to that, you know, also if you're trying to hammer something that doesn't need metal, you know, this rubber mallet, super helpful whether you're, you know, pounding a loose peg, don't want to mar the wood too much, or if there is a caster and a wheel that you need to, you know, really bring back in there. Nothing wrong with having a rubber mallet there. Cordless drill, super critical. One of the most important tools in there. I end up using this thing all the time. I had a Ryobi for the longest time. They were great. You don't need anything more than a Ryobi. I've only upgraded to the DeWalt because I end up doing a lot more work around the house. I know Milwaukee's the best, but I personally like the black and yellow. You know, sue me. What can you do? I think this, you know, this is 20 volt. I bought the multi-tool pack. It's got everything. I think I end up using the electronic leaf blower all the time in my garage, just, you know, blowing out sawdust and all the leaves that end up piling in there. Awesome kit, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, one of the things you really want to stock up on is a solid tool set, because you're going to be doing a lot of woodworking around the house. On that note, make sure you've also got a solid set of drill bits. I've got a couple of these. This is the one that I actually leave in the bucket toolbox. It's got everything you need, all the different drill drivers, a couple different options. For those that watched my Glock 43X Holosun install video, I had to purchase this separately because I didn't have the T8, or this one was the T10, in order to really wrench that down using my torque wrench. But this thing's really all you need. Pop that in there. You've got this thing, and what I like about this system is it's stackable, and so there's a couple different, I have another one that's actually the drill bits itself, but I keep that separate. Gloves, two sets of gloves. Number one, mainly this one's the one I use the most. I mean, it's the generic, working around the house, avoid splinters from getting in your hand, being able to pick up sheet metal without slashing yourself. I mean, these things are a dime a dozen. Pick up a bunch of them and just leave them stocked up. But if I'm doing something that's a little more heavy duty, I'll end up using the impacts. You know, if I'm wrenching on the truck and I'm not trying to get busted knuckles, I'll end up using something like this. Wood glue, you know, you're either gluing it or screwing it, and so sometimes you're doing both. And so, you know, you can glue it and then end up using the drill to follow up with a screw. On that note, I also have a follow-up drill driver, and so this thing is just a super compact. Sometimes you don't need, you know, a giant 20-volt drill in order to just screw in some IKEA furniture. You know, something super lightweight like this. It's got multiple angles. You can use it straight. This is basically like my screwdriver, and so I use this thing all the time. It goes both reverse and forward. I mean, this is basically my screwdriver. I love this thing. I end up using this actually sometimes more than the drill itself. And so for small little things around the house, or whether I'm trying to drill a hole in the wall, sometimes you don't want to overpower it, or you're drilling the screw into a drywall anchor. You don't want to strip that drywall anchor, and so you want something with a little less power. And so this little Black & Decker has been super invaluable. Personal protective equipment. This is a splash-proof one. I love this thing. I like the wide, clear lens on it. It makes it super easy. It's got reverse ventilated holes, so that way it actually it doesn't fog up. But if, you know, for whatever reason liquid were to fall in there, it wouldn't get in there in your eyes. And so it's splash-proof. fog proof, really comfortable. Feels like I'm not wearing anything on. And because of that wide angle, it feels like I'm wearing nothing. And so highly recommend. I mean, your eyes are one of the most important things. And so make sure you're always protecting your eyes. In addition to that, if I'm working with someone else, I've got another pair of just backup laboratory goggles, just popping them on there. And then, you know, talking about if I want, you know, to go a little more lightweight, these awesome 3M glasses, they've also got these cushions around there, so that way sawdust really doesn't fly in there. And I'm noticing that I actually don't have my mask on here. I also do have a dust mask that I keep inside of here. One time I noticed I was sanding some wood, and I got out of the garage and I noticed my lungs were feeling really itchy, like I had like there was fiberglass in there. Just, it was all from all the sawdust. And you really want to make sure you're protecting your lungs, protecting your eyes. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. The next thing, Allen wrenches, so critical. Honestly, some of my most used tools is this 3 set of Allen wrenches. They come in all different sizes, and then in addition to that, they've also got the torque wrenches if I'm wrenching on some of my firearms. And so this set, phenomenal. I end up using, you know, the yellow one the most, but just keeping these in there have been super, super valuable. And that's pretty much it. I mean, those are the majority of the tools. I've got a couple other things, you know, like a carpenter's pencil if I want to mark some things off. I've got a set of drywall screws. So if I need to mount a TV or some artwork. I've got a handful of nails, you know, just if I'm, you know, needing to fix a loose board on my fence, being able to put that in there. Galvanized 3-inch, no problem. Let's see if there's anything else in here. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And so it's super critical. I think it's one of the most important things to stock up on are hand tools. Remember, 1 is none, 2 is 1. You know, the last thing you want is for one of your most critical tools to go out of commission and you don't have a hardware store nearby. Or you're in the middle of a project, you need to get it done, the sun's going down, and you have to stop because, you know, you can't find your square. And so you want to make sure that you are, you know, you have this is your primary, your bucket toolkit, everything is here, but you've also got your 3-foot larger tool set that's got all the other goodies for backups. All right, y'all, so that's it. So in regards to the giveaway, so we're going to be giving away not only a brand new SE4, my favorite survival knife. I love this thing. It's like a 1/4 inch of steel, carbon steel. You can strike a ferro rod on this thing. It's got this awesome finger choil, so you can still do some bushcrafting and creating feather sticks, but you can also baton this thing, no problem. It's the knife you could take to the end of the world. SE4, absolutely phenomenal. Not only are we going to give this away, we're going to give away over $500 worth of goodies. We're going to be announcing the winner once we hit 10,000 subscribers. All you need to do is subscribe and leave a comment on this video or any video, and you'll be instantly entered. Check the description for the full details. We'll be looking forward to announcing that winner soon. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.